Oh, let's try this. Go live. Try this again. There we go. We're actually live this
Hey!
time.
We thought we were live. Maybe we weren't.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Event Answer Studio, the Office Edition. Hey, there we go. Now it says we're live.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. We decided at the last minute to hop on and do a live to celebrate hitting 100,000 subscribers today with Event Answer. We kind of just took a guess of when we thought we might hit 100,000 subscribers. So we might hit that number while we're on the live. We might not, but regardless, we're going to celebrate.
We have our live counter right here. There it is. So we are, 38 away?
Yeah.
So that is wild.
Exciting.
So, yeah.
So we'll see. We figured we'd talk about the Event Answer journey, answer some questions. If you guys have any questions about the channel or what we've been up to, you can leave comments in the chat and we can see those. And yeah, we're just here to celebrate and thank you all. Event Answer, we wouldn't be here without all of you being here. Like, this has been a wild 4 years and something I never thought we'd be doing. You know, here we've hit almost 100,000 subscribers. And when last year we were around 50,000 or something. And that was miraculous to me. I was like, we've made it. We've hit 50,000 subscribers. And it never even crossed our mind until late last year that oh, we could maybe get to 100,000 subscribers. So it's been a bit of a wild 6-8 months since then. And so many new people have joined us. And I can't believe it. I'm so thankful for everyone. All of your lovely comments on the videos and asking questions. A special thank you to all of our patrons who have gone above and beyond supporting us. And it's been a pleasure chatting with all of you. You know, whether that's you doing a party for your kid or if you're starting a business. So many of you have shared your own journeys and all of the beautiful things you've made in relation to the videos. And it just warms my heart seeing what everyone makes. Looks like people, okay. The chat is working. I'm glad to see that.
Well, so it's showing up on one of my windows, but not both of them. So I'm going to try to work on that while you
Awesome.
keep going.
Thank you for joining. Hey, wonderful.
Here we go.
Thank you all.
Chat. There we go. This will make it a lot easier, I think.
People have watched from around the world. You know, we live in a pretty small area. And I'm blown away with the people who watch from all around the world, all across America. Some not even in English. Thank you all for watching. I don't speak any other language other than English, but thank you for watching.
Google Translate's amazing, and we love seeing your comments and getting to translate them. It's really cool.
Yeah, thank goodness. It's been such a wild journey. We've been at Event Answer for 4 years. I launched the channel in 2018, but it wasn't really until the beginning of 2019 that we started releasing weekly videos. And, you know, who knew that this is where we'd be so many years later? Because this was just a side gig. I was a full-time event planner working for various nonprofits and was doing this on the side to just share what I had learned working in that field, because I felt like there wasn't really anywhere for new event planners to learn some of the tricks of the trade. Like, you can go and get a degree in hospitality management, but there's so many things you learn from actually doing events. And that's where we started, was I just wanted to share the tips that I had learned over the years. And it just evolved from there. You know, balloons became such a large part of what we do now. And part of what inspired the style for the Event Answer videos was because I was trying to learn how to create balloon designs, and I couldn't find the tutorials to teach me what I was wanting to learn. Yeah, there were some videos that were maybe more vlog style. You know, they were a planner and just showing you as they created events and stuff, but there wasn't a lot of how-tos and like showing very closely the technical parts of creating designs. And so that's what really influenced the style of the videos. Was I couldn't find what I was looking for, so just decided to make it and make that available so others could learn more easily than me fiddling around, like hoping it was going to work or stay in place. So it's very much a product of wanting to learn myself and being able to share that knowledge now, which has been so much fun. Let's see. Are there any questions in the chat that we need to pay attention to?
I think I've seen any.
Okay, no questions. If you have any questions for us, definitely pop them into the chat. We'll be watching the chat, saying hi to everyone. Thank you all for coming. Thank you to our mothers for supporting us. I can see you both in the chat. We wouldn't be here without your support either. My mom texted me every Saturday morning after a video released because she was so thrilled to be the first one to watch the videos. And I just want to thank you so much for that support. You know, it's been a crazy amount of time, you know, trying to put out a video every week. And we wouldn't be able to do that without all of your love and support from all of our friends and families. So thank you all. I know you guys are out here watching, so we really appreciate what you have done for us and supported us. I realized we've gotten into this and I've not introduced William to you all. You obviously see me all the time. This is William, my husband, and also the other half of Event Answer that runs a lot of the stuff behind the scenes. I'm very much the creative and he's the technical one that makes sure things happen. And so you do a lot of kind of random things that help the flow of the business, the analytics. If you've asked a question in our Etsy shop, it's probably been William that has answered you lately. But we make a great pair together because our strengths complement each other so much. So thank you as well for supporting Event Answer.
But probably the most important thing I do is I'm willing to do the shameless plugs. So we have our best sale ever over on our Etsy store. So I looked and the best we've ever done previously was 10% off. So to celebrate, we're doing 20% off. If you use code 100KParty, you can get 20% off on everything. There's no restrictions. Go wild. If you have questions, drop them in the chat over there, and I'll be the one that gets to answer them. So I'd love to chat with you over there as well.
Yeah. So. Well, and Etsy was something that has also developed along with the YouTube channel. So some of you, if you've been over to our Etsy shop, may have noticed that this store was actually called Witty Squirrel. Because it had a half-life prior to us doing YouTube, where I sold pottery on there because I was a pottery instructor for many years, and decided to switch away from that and have that be the location where we made available all of the plans and instructions that you see me use on the channel. So it kind of has a funny backstory, and it was only just recently we changed its name to Event Answer, so it all is much more seamless instead of being like, why are we on a page that says Witty Squirrel? It was all us. It was just named interestingly. So but yeah, it's been a fantastic blending those available and making plans available to you all. Because the videos, you know, I can go into some depth with things and try to show as much as possible in kind of a concise manner. But sometimes you need just a little bit more instruction, or it's kind of can be annoying if you're trying to make something specific to like keep backing up and rewatching a section on a video. And that's kind of how the plans came about, was offering something that you could print out and look at as you assembled. And that way you had one more way to create these items. So
we got a couple of questions that have come in. So first off, we have, what is the best part and most challenging part to designing and starting your business?
Oh, goodness.
So yours is a little unique because while you do have a balloon business, most of your focus is on the educational content on YouTube.
Correct. Which does, it allows us a lot of creativity, and I think that's what I love the most. Like I said, we live in a small area, so I do some client work, you know, because I want to make sure I'm always trying new things and working with people to see what's out there. But I don't live in a city, so I'm not, you know, out every weekend doing balloons, but that does allow me the chance to focus on really intricate designs and designs that are really relevant to hopefully the parties and events that you're throwing. And so that's where we put a lot of the thought and development. I look at what's popular, but also what are things that I can help teach. Because I could make tons of garlands every week with slightly different things, but to me, it's really important to have a teaching moment in every video. It's cool to get to see the fun, reveal at the end, but I also want you guys to walk away with a new tip or trick or new technique that you can take and use in your own parties. So, we're kind of in a unique situation where, I get to create and design beautiful things that I love, and get to share those all with you.
So, Kimberly, thank you for that question. We have another question from the 3 C's asking, do you only advertise on YouTube and Etsy? Do you have a website? I can answer that one, sort of. So we have a website, but we are working to transition that to a new site.
It's in development.
Yeah. That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah. So hopefully it would be nice to have a place that's a hub for our products. Etsy is a great marketplace that is very easy to work with. But we would love to have a website of our own and kind of a home for everything we do. So it's in development right now. There is an old website. It was one that I tried to do on my own and died, so we're in the process of making a new one that can be a happy home for all the content and all the information and products that we sell. And as we try to build new product lines and start new projects, hopefully they'll get to live there. So we don't necessarily do lots of marketing per se, though.
Right.
A lot of our audience is very organic. The channel has grown very slowly and consistently over the last several years. Etsy as well. I think we've run maybe a couple ads, but marketing is not something I do. To me, as long as we're making beautiful things that you find helpful, that's what's most important to me, is that you guys can learn something that you can take and make for yourself. I love making, that's where my heart is. And if I can share that with you and you can make beautiful things too, that's what's important. And, we've grown over the years because of that love, and that's where we'll keep going. So
you mentioned the new products on potentially coming to the website. Are you ready to leak what one of those products is, or should we save that for a different time?
We could leak that. Some of the patrons know.
They do. Yep.
I have not finished writing the plans for it. So, but in the last couple months, actually, we've been developing our own balloon kits that can go along with the videos that we create. So that way you can see what we're making and also just be able to buy one thing and be able to make the same thing. Because often, as a professional balloon designer, I keep a lot of balloons on hand. I just did an inventory and I had 87 different colors of balloons in my studio.
Your patrons know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, they know what we're talking
photo,
about.
Yeah.
But I can go through those balloons. So for me, when I make something and I use a couple different colors and a couple different sizes, it's not a big deal for me to buy 6 or 10 bags of balloons for a project. But if you're only needed to make one design for a party or a shower or something, it can be a lot of balloons to try and purchase. And we always try to link products so that you can find them very easily, but it still does mean buying lots of bags of balloons. So we're in the process of developing some color lines so that you can make some beautiful garlands and only have to purchase one thing to be able to make those. So we're not quite there yet. We're getting ready to launch some early parts with our studio supporters on Patreon. So they're going to get the first glimpse of those. But this summer we're looking to release those balloon lines, and that's what will live on that website.
Yes.
And Plus, it's fun to get that integration of you being able to make exactly what I'm making and not struggling to find those balloons, because sometimes Amazon doesn't have what I'm wanting to link, which is annoying.
I was going to say, that's the other challenge, is if you're needing just a single bag of a balloon, like shipping is so expensive. And Amazon prices are typically very inflated compared to...
if you were buying them wholesale or something.
Okay, so we have a question. I don't know if you're going to want to answer or not.
Oh.
So Quirky D asks, what's your favorite balloon brand?
Oh, interesting.
So I'm guessing there's probably a list of at least three.
Three that I tend to use. I'm open to exploring more. It's also a matter of keeping more balloons on hand. So I have really latched on to Qualitex balloons and Tuftex. Those are the two main brands I use. They're great quality. They're very reliable. You can get multiple sizes in each color. And they all have beautiful colors. But they're decorator quality balloons, so you know that you're getting something that will last and be more durable. Goodness, yeah, Qualitex and Tuftex. I've also used Bedelic. I'm probably not saying that right, but Bedelic are probably the three that I keep on hand the most. Qualitex is where I started. So all of these colors back here are all Qualitex. And it's only been recently that I got into Tuftex balloons. But I'm not a singular brand person. No one has unfortunately offered to, be a balloon sponsor for us, which would be wonderful. But I also like mixing brands because you have to do less double stuffing. Double stuffing is a very popular way to get unique color combinations. But I find it takes a lot of time and it's a lot of effort. So if I can find the color that I want as a singular balloon, I try to go that direction instead of double stuffing. So that's why I tend to branch out across brands. And in a lot of my videos, I am actually using multiple brands to get the color scheme that I'm looking for. So Tuftex has been my love recently. They've got some really unique colors, but Qualitex was where I started, and I still love them.
Okay, we got a couple more questions. Do you make balloon sculptures like a walk-in, so this is from Kimberly, do you make balloon sculptures like a walk-in pink balloon castle for small children or just a showpiece? That's interesting.
So a walk-in pink castle has been on my to-do list for months. I need a studio space big enough to pull off the pink castle, but it keeps getting moved on my filming calendar because I want to do it. I do both. I really love sculptural pieces. There's so many cool things you can do, like the boba drink that was just, we did it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago maybe. But you do find that probably it's not as useful to as many people. Not as many people need custom boba for their parties.
For client work, it tends to be other things. But
the sculptures are so fun. Yeah. I keep seeing people who like make flamingos and all these like really cool sculptural things. I keep seeing like corn, like a balloon column that looks like a corn hut, like shucked corn. Great. I want to make it, but does anyone else want to see me make corn? I don't know. But I think it would be super cute. Yeah. So I love doing both. And there's a lot of really cool technicality in balloon sculpture work that we don't tend to get to dive into a lot. They can sometimes use a lot more of the 260 and 360 balloons, which you can do some really amazing stuff with. But I tend to do more with round balloons and just make things that people can use more generally. But if there are sculptures you'd like to see, I'm open to ideas because I love making them. There's so many cute, unique things you can do with something like that.
Okay. Follow-up question on the... we have votes for yes, we should do corn. June would like to know, do you practice with the less expensive balloons or your quality balloons?
I frankly haven't used a I say less quality, what you would get at like Walmart or something like that. I only use those if I'm in a pickle. If I haven't planned properly and I need something, I will run to our local craft store and use something. But otherwise, no. I just use the Qualitex, the Tough Tex balloons to practice on, because they do have different tolerances, they do have different colors, and they have different feels. Feels, that's maybe not. They inflate differently. Yeah, texture, things like that. So I like to use the balloons that I normally work with. And that can even range between colors in a brand. So recently, yesterday's video, the hot air balloon video, I used Tough Tex Sugar Balloon, which is their pearl white balloon. But for some reason, that color is a lot tighter. It's harder to inflate. It's harder to tie. Like, there's something about that latex that's a little stiffer than if you used other of their colors. So I try to actually use the balloons that I plan to be using. So
very lovely Spanish comment here from Jeneth. I'm probably butchering that. Congratulations, your work is very beautiful. God bless you for sharing your knowledge.
Oh, thank you.
Once again, love that Google Translate.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're trying to translate as many as we can live here.
Yeah. Awesome.
The corn emoji. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's so many fun random
great.
things. I have a full Pinterest page of balloon projects that I see. I'm like, oh, someday I'm gonna make that. Like, there's not enough weeks in the year, you know. But yeah, and I think making walk-in balloon designs are going to be really cool. I'm looking forward to making some of those here soon. So like the Pink Castle, when we get to fall, I really want to make a walk-in gingerbread house. I've seen them floating around, and I didn't get around to making it fast enough last year. So I'm hoping to do a quick link gingerbread house come fall that, you know, you can either stand in front of or hopefully walk through. We'll see how big we can make it, but having sculptures you can interact with are just so neat for parties and events. And you don't have to worry about people touching them or interacting with them.
So earlier you mentioned that you've been on YouTube since 2018. And I thought it would be a hoot to go back and watch your first video that you ever posted. Because your original first video was actually like a channel trailer. Kind of talking about like what you were going to do. But your first like full video was a tips for doing outside events. And it was shot in our backyard.
Oh my
goodness. I believe it's just a couple minutes long. I think that will be pretty amusing.
Let's watch
so
this.
Let's see if we can.
Hi,
There we go.
Morgan
Okay.
with the Ben Answer here to give you 5 essentials to planning an outdoor event. The things you need to remember if you're going to be outside. The first thing to think about is shelter. Where are you going to be having your event outside?
It has
Are you
survived.
going to be honestly in an open area,
And this is with no
or is there
lighting.
some kind of shelter provided? Are you at a park where there's already shelters provided? Will you be renting a tent? Are you in a rustic barn out on someone's property? These are all things you need to think about and have somewhere for people to go, either to get out of the sun and find a shady spot. If there's a chance of it raining, you need to have somewhere for people to go. So you need to think about shelter. Where is your event going to be happening, and what will people be doing inside of that? The second essential is power. How are you powering your event? If you're going to be outside, is there already hardline electrical? If there is, you need to make sure that electrical is turned on. So when you're scouting out the site, take a fan or a lamp or something with you, your phone charger, and test out the outlets and make sure they actually work where you need them. If you were on a public property, you might need to check with the city or municipality and make sure those outlets are turned on. Sometimes it requires an event permit to do so.
Memory lane for you.
If you're
Back to that.
So many of those early videos were actually more event planning focused. So I think there's an interesting distinction to be made here between event planning and party decorating. Because I was an event planner prior to this. I worked for nonprofits for 7 years planning their events, and obviously working with nonprofits, we were trying to make magic on shoestrings. And so that's why I learned so many tips and tricks from my mentor, because we had very little budget to pull off these really beautiful events celebrating youth achievements or supporting our local downtown. And so I tried to take a lot of that knowledge, and in those early videos shared more of those tips and things. But really what I love doing, even though I was an event planner, I fell in love with event planning because I love event decorating. And that comes back to making and finding clever ways and solutions to make beautiful moments and memorable moments, but also try and be thrifty about it. And so that's where a transition kind of happened, because when it comes to event planning, you're kind of one of two people if you're an event planner. You're either the type A list person, or you're the more creative type, and your creativity is where your focus is. I'm definitely the latter. I am not a type A personality. I kept really good lists because I needed to, but I'm not naturally that kind of person. And making this transition into YouTube has allowed for that creativity to really flourish and explore so many new designs that we didn't really have the opportunity to do here at some of the local organizations I was working with. So it's really allowed us to do so many more creative things, and explore that making.
Oh, we got a bunch of questions rolling in now. So Kimberly would like to know more about balloons and oxidation outdoors.
I've got to make a video this summer about this, because I want to explore balloon shine oxidation outdoors, but I was waiting for it to get hot. It has now gotten hot, and so we're going to have to make this video, but all latex balloons oxidize. That's a given fact. You leave them out long enough, they'll begin to get hazy. But if you put them out in harsher elements, especially heat, direct sunlight, and high humidity, will make your latex balloons oxidize faster. And this is especially apparent on dark balloons. So if you're wanting, I assume you're probably looking at outside events, because that's where balloons tend to oxidize much quicker. Usually, like an arrangement like this that's going to be inside, it can last easily for a week and still look gorgeous. The oxidation is pretty slow. But once you start putting balloons out into the elements, they will oxidize fairly quickly. And a few ways you can help slow that process for your events is to put your balloons in a shady spot if possible. If you can keep them out of the direct sunlight, even better. Always try and put your balloons up for an outdoor event as close to event time as possible, because they just will oxidize. There's not really anything you can do about that. You can apply balloon shine products. That's something I'd like to do some experimentation with, because I've seen people have really great results with that, but I've also seen some people have their latex balloons pop more after applying a product like that. So I'm really intrigued to dive into that more and do some testing of multiple balloon shine products outside in different colors and things like that, because I would much prefer to make balloon arrangements indoors. If I can avoid doing an outdoor event, I definitely will, because that is definitely a challenge and something you want to do as close as possible to the setup time.
And the other thing with your balloon shine, of course, is that it's a very slippery substance. And so if you bring in balloons inside that have balloon shine, you run the risk of that getting on your floors. And just the waxiest floor you've ever experienced is kind of
you want to be very careful applying that. So I made a centerpiece for a friend. And it was really humid that day, and they were all black balloons and chrome balloons. And so I was like, I'll just apply balloon shine to this really quickly so it looks great for her. And I knew it'd be slippery, like you're supposed to cover the floors and everything before you apply this. And I did, but I didn't think about how far the spray would go over this centerpiece. So I sprayed it down and everything. I picked up my material that I put on the floor.
Great, to be honest. It was very beautiful. Yeah.
But I filmed in our living room. And so this overspray had gotten onto our hardwood floors, and I could not get it off. it was literally weeks of trying to clean the floor again and again because the balloon shine, because I think it's silicone based maybe, made our floor so slippery. So if you use it, cover
Outside.
anything that is not a balloon, because it will end up slippery and greasy and it's really hard to get off. So I try to reserve that just for outdoor stuff.
June asked, can you speak a little bit on balloon pricing? This area is a little challenging.
Oh.
That's another video.
That's
hopefully
coming
out this year.
Yeah, it's frankly, if I post a YouTube video, there's going to be at least one question about pricing, and it's hard to address a little bit in the comments because it's so personal and so unique to your own market and your own business. I think we're definitely going to have to do a video about our pricing philosophy, because I think we could talk about the philosophy behind your pricing, and kind of hopefully give you some tools to figure out what that pricing should be for you, because it is very dependent on where you live, what's popular in your market. I live in a very small area, so in a video coming out here, I do talk a little bit, or you see a little bit about the pricing of balloon designs that I do locally. But I kind of show that with a little bit of a side note, because they may not be a good price for your market. So when it comes to pricing, definitely consider your time. It's easy to calculate the materials needed for a design, but don't forget to pay yourself for the time of not only making the design, but also delivery and installation and pickup if it's not something you can just leave, because you can really eat up a lot of time there and not necessarily account for that. So don't forget your time, don't forget your materials, don't forget your delivery fee. Those are all very important things that it's easy to underestimate. Goodness.
So one thing I encourage folks to think about is if you weren't doing this, what would you be doing instead? So would you be spending time with your family? Would you be doing a hobby? It's one thing to build something beautiful for a friend as a favor.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it like as a business, you should make sure you're doing it as a business. And so especially if it's your side hustle, like if you haven't made that transition to just doing balloons, think about like if you worked an hour of overtime at your other job,
day job,
what would you get paid for that? And like we encourage people to charge at least that amount as your hourly rate. Like that should be kind of your floor.
You don't want to be making less,
because
because you are still, that's time you could be doing something else. So
Yep. And you should probably raise your prices.
You should probably raise your prices, yes.
Okay. So how long in advance do you inflate your balloons for an event, and how do you transport them? That's
another great question. So if you're using a quality balloon, a decorated quality, so like Qualitex, like Tuftex, you could easily inflate them 2 or 3 days ahead of time. In fact, if I'm doing multiple setups or a large setup, I try to inflate as many balloons as possible ahead of time, because you don't want to be wasting your setup time inflating balloons. Because when I've been talking to some of my patrons lately, they've been telling me that in their markets, the setup times have gotten shortened dramatically for parties and events. And so when they maybe had half a day or most of a day to set up previously, now they're only getting like an hour or two to do their setups, which can be very challenging, especially if you're doing this by yourself or with a small team.
And these are for really beautiful setups.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And so you want to make sure, do as much ahead of time as possible if you've got the capability to transport them. That's the caveat with that. We just have a small SUV, and I would say 90% of the time, 95, actually up to this point, I have not had to rent a vehicle for a balloon setup yet. That will change. I have a large setup in September that I'm doing that I will have to rent a box truck to do, which is a first. But everything prior to that, I can usually take a couple trips in our small SUV and get them there. I like to put mine into balloon bags to protect the balloons. And so to make more balloons fit into your vehicle, they fit better if they're not tied together. So it's a back and forth of, do I need to get more balloons into the car or do I need to save time? Because if you can pre-tie things together, like if you're making a large garland, and if you could pre-tie sections of those together, you'll save more time on the end, but the balloons fit in more compactly if they're loose in a bag. So that's something I've learned over the years. Trying to close the hatch, and you just kind of like shove them in a little bit more. They fit a little better if they're not tied together. Yeah. But I just use a balloon bag roll, and it's basically an empty tube that I tie the ends of. But I've also seen people have great luck with mattress bags. You can buy from like mattress stores or online. So if you need a really big bag and you have a large vehicle that can handle that kind of capacity, mattress bags, because they're really thick. I often reuse my bags. Unless I'm sending like a grab and go arrangement with somebody, I will reuse a bag multiple times, because that's one way I can keep those costs down. But because those large bags can be a little pricey, but you can also get extra large trash bags as well. I've used some really large clear bags that are fantastic, but I would say 80-90% of the time I use the balloon bag roll, because I can just roll off however much I need, however long my garland is, and protect it for transportation and getting through doorways. If you're walking across the grass, you're not popping the balloons as they accidentally drag the ground. So, yeah. Love a good balloon bag.
Yes. Okay, I think we have caught up with all of our questions so far.
Yeah.
Make sure I'm not missing anything.
What is our count? Okay, 967. We have made progress.
Yeah.
For anyone who maybe joined a little later, we just made a guess. We were thinking we might hit 100K subscribers while we were on the live stream. Yeah. Hopefully that'll happen. If it's not, we just wanted to come on and celebrate with all of you, talk about balloons and decorating, and give you all a very big thank you, because we would not be here without you all. We started very small. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever imagine that we would be here. When we hit 10,000 subscribers, I thought we had made it. Like that was huge. And I thought that's where we would be. A couple thousand, maybe tens of thousands. And it's been a wild ride. And thank you all for joining and commenting on videos and liking them. I love getting to see all of your comments and projects that you make from the videos. I think that's my favorite part. Yeah. One of the best things about Etsy is you can include a photo with your review. And I love seeing what everyone makes from those templates and designs. I think that's probably my favorite part. Oh, you're on the ball here. Since you mentioned Etsy,
we're going to throw that promo code back up there. 100K party, get 20% off anything in the Etsy store. That is the best deal we've ever offered. So I want to just thank everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been amazing. So,
and that's where all of the plans and templates live. So you can find any of those that exist, as well as a few extra things over on our Etsy shop. So.
And remember, if you're a patron in the Party Maker or Studio Supporter level, you have access to all that stuff for free through Patreon. If you're having trouble finding something, just send us a message. We'll get you the right thing you need. So,
absolutely.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, thank you to the patrons. The patrons was a whole new development. We've only had Patreon 2 years, maybe,
I think so.
At this point. Yeah. And I wasn't even sure what to do. Like, would anyone want, something like that? And I'm so thankful for all of you who have gone above and beyond in supporting us on Patreon at all the different levels. It makes a huge difference to us, and I love getting to talk to you over there. We talk a lot of balloon business, and if you ever have questions and want to talk to me directly, Patreon is the best way to do it. I suck at social media, so if you have tried to reach out to me on social media, I apologize, because I am terrible at responding to people over there. So if you want to talk to me, find me on Patreon, because that's where I hang out.
June, yes. If you're looking to purchase any of the balloon plans or templates, yes, those are all on Etsy. It's etsy.com/shop/event answer. Which I'll put that in chat. We'll do some
that'd
promo
be great.
here.
Yeah. You can find all of them on Etsy, or if you're a party maker or a studio supporter on our patrons page, you have access to all of those. So.
It highlighted in orange her name. I wonder if that worked.
Oh.
Let me make
Can you
sure
see the
that
link in the chat?
Yes. Yep. There you go.
Hey,
so
there
that'll
we go.
get you where you need to be. And on the left-hand side, there's a category for plans. And that'll get you everything. So, yep.
Yeah, and all the recent plans and templates are there. So even the hot air balloons from yesterday's video, those templates are already up on the Etsy shop. They're already in Patreon. So if you saw yesterday's video, those are all already available for you.
Okay, I have another question from Kimberly here. What other weights can we use for balloon garland? I want to make a garland without curved pole or string. What are your suggestions?
Other weights we can use. I want to make a garland without a curved pole or string.
So maybe just tying them together with like 260s and then like hanging on the wall. So like maybe you could talk through how this is is built, and because there's no frame supporting that and no string.
So my favorite way to tie garlands together is to use 260 balloons. So if you were making a balloon animal and those really thin balloons, that's a 260 balloon. And that's how I like to tie my garlands together, because I think they're very forgiving. And you're less likely to pop your latex balloons if you tie your garlands with a 260, because the latex on latex is less likely to cut into the balloons, whereas sometimes if you use fishing line or curling ribbon, if you pull too hard, you can actually rip through some of your latex balloons. So I've used all of them. They're all great methods, and if fishing line or curling ribbon is all you have, go for it. It'll work just fine. But I think if I had to pick a preference, 260 balloons are my favorite way to tie garlands together. And I think that's probably what, if you've watched any of the recent garland videos, that's what I'm using.
I feel like, you've kind of transitioned to that being your primary technique.
Yeah. If you're talking about weights, so if you were going to take a garland outside and say you wanted it to be on the ground and then like up a wall or something, it's really helpful to actually weight the bottom of that garland, so it's not just fluttering in the wind. And you can either tie in balloon weights. I've seen people take like water bottles and tie a 260 balloon to a water bottle.
Okay.
And then tuck it into the garland and take the other end of that 260 and wrap it around balloons. Pretty much anything that has weight to it and isn't pokey is gonna do pretty good.
Well, and you've done things like fill a balloon with sand or with water to basically make your own weight that matches the color of the garland, and then like really hides it really nicely.
It blends in really nice. Yeah. If you're trying to weight a stand, if you're trying to do a garland, because you mentioned the curved pole, when it comes to weighting stands, especially if you're outdoors, there's a lot of. I tend to use sandbags because sandbags is what I have, but I've seen people use some really cool. Just the flat, like if you were lifting weights with a barbell, just the barbell plates.
Oh, okay,
and they'll slip those over the base of their balloon stand. And those work really well, and they're low profile.
Sure.
Like they're kind of the size of your balloon stand already. I don't have any of those. I need to like go to some garage sales and see if I can find someone who's trying to offload their weights, and try and get a good deal on something like that. But any kind of weight. I've seen people use like umbrella stands that you put water in. You can buy specific event plates. So some of the companies that sell like backdrop stands and stuff will also sell weighted plates that slot over the top of those bases. So if you want something very low profile and seamless, that would be a way to go. Anything heavy and you can, is low profile will work pretty well.
June is asking, what attachments can you use on a wall for a garland without removing the paint or wallpaper? Morgan saw me reaching for something on the desk here. Command hooks are your friends.
Command hooks.
Command hooks is the way to go.
Don't tape your wall. I see people who put, there's these adhesive hooks that are really popular, but they will rip the paint off your wall. The one exception to that with tape is maybe gaffer's tape. Would you put tape, that kind of tape on the wall?
Gaffer's tape is great like on carpet because it'll remove without leaving residue behind, as long as you use a good quality gaffer's tape. We'll put that disclaimer on there.
I've used it on brick really
usage.
well, but I've not tried it as
brick,
much on paint.
I would be real nervous about putting it on paint.
Frankly, I just use command hooks because they're super easy to use. You know you're not going to damage the wall. And frankly, balloons don't have a lot of weight. So you don't have to get the heavy duty ones. Like I just get the half-pound ones, and that'll be more than enough to handle that. I mean, I've got 2 half-pound hooks holding this up.
So the tiny little, what do they call them? I guess it doesn't say a size on them.
Yeah,
but that's
they're just the half-pound. And that's more than enough to do it. And so you would stick them to the wall, kind of where you think you want your garland to be, and then take an empty 260 balloon. A rubber band, or you could use fishing line or something like that, and tie one end of that to your hook. So if you're using a rubber band or a 260, tie it to your hook, hold your garland up, and then just wrap that stretchy material over a balloon in the garland that's right in front of the hook, and that'll hold it in place. So if it's a rubber band, just right over one of the balloons. If you're using a 260, you can either tie that 260 in a loop, so it's like a rubber band, or I like to leave the tails of the 260 free, and I can just take one of those tails and wrap it a figure 8 around some of the balloons in the garland, and that works really well. And I feel like I've got a little bit more control over it that way. But yeah, command hooks are the way to go, and just build it into your pricing.
And Kimberly, that's exactly how this one is hung as well, is with the little mini command hooks.
Yeah, you can't see them or anything. And we'll pull it down, and then you just have the little tab that you pull, and you don't have to worry about damaging the wall.
And of course, if you're in a rented space, make sure the venue is okay with you doing that.
Get permission.
Generally, command hooks are going to be okay. Blue painter's tape tends to be okay with most venues. Anything else tends to be a no-go.
But double check. Or if you're renting anyone else's props, you know, because I see a lot of people attach balloons, obviously, to wooden arch frames and things like that. You can also use command hooks on the back of those as well. Or I like to really just use clips. You can either get spring clamps or large binder clips and just clamp them to the edge of your arch. And that's another great way to just tie your balloon garlands on.
And then in like a commercial space with drop ceilings, you want to talk about that, because that's a whole different.
That is, and that's another one you need to talk to the venue about. So the professional way to attach things to a drop ceiling is to use magnets, and you can buy magnets that have hooks on them, and then you just use a really long pole, and you can use those attached to the ceiling.
They work really well.
Good on
that's
They're
a great solution.
So slick, so fast. If you do a lot of things with the drop ceiling, I think it's definitely worth investing in. The budget way to do it is to actually use binder clips. And if you can get your binder clip in the same color as your drop ceiling, so usually they're white, take your white binder clip and then just press the ceiling tile up a little bit and clip it onto the metal part. And then you've got the handle of that binder clip, and you can tie your balloons to that just fine. You just have to be really careful pulling those off. Like, make sure you open them and then pull them off, because you can totally scrape up the metal of a drop ceiling. You can also gouge the ceiling tiles. So you just need to be careful. But usually
and get permission.
Get permission. But if you do get permission, you can do that. The binder clip fits right up against the metal frame, and you can drop those ceiling tiles back down, so they're not askew or anything. And it's a very low profile way of doing things, if you're allowed to.
Kimberly asks, what is the secret to making a balloon wall? I've seen too many techniques. Well, you've shown at least one technique for doing that with the quick two.
I did an
you're
organic
right.
one
okay,
too.
yeah. So the quick way, of course, is
Yeah, that was
quick
great.
links.
The quick links was
It's
great.
amazing.
Super fast. I would say not just walls, but frankly, most balloon designing, there's lots of ways to do it. I don't ever profess that my way is the right way, because there's lots of ways to accomplish whatever you're wanting to do. A lot of it comes down to personal preference, what you enjoy making, what you enjoy working with. So quick link walls is a great quick way to build a wall, especially if you want a structured wall, so something that's more flat. If you want an organic wall, I mean, basically to make an organic wall, you just make multiple organic balloon garlands, and then you stand them up and you tie them together, like, or you lay them on their sides and you just kind of like, log house them, and tie them together.
Use like some 260s to
Yeah,
join them,
exactly.
so they don't. You end up without the holes and fill in any.
You do have to fill in some gaps, yeah, but you'll
very
get
seamless.
80-90% of the way there just by making multiple balloon garlands and stacking them together. I like to use a stand, but you could attach them directly to a wall. So just like we were talking with the command hooks, you could just put command hooks on a wall and use those to attach a balloon wall to a wall. But if you like a freestanding one, I just love to put them on my backdrop stands, and those are great.
Okay. Weird
Circle
color.
arches are great too.
Oh,
If you want to like fill an entire circle arch with like a wall, basically, those are really cool looking. I think if you're going to do something on a shape like that, you just want to make sure you're very distinct with the edge of them. So I think I did an organic circle arch last summer.
Oh yeah, the outside one.
Yeah. And the important thing with that is just making sure you have a nice clean circular edge with your organic balloons, so you can get that very distinct shape. But same philosophy, basically.
Okay, I think we're caught up on questions
Okey
here.
doke. Is there anything else we need to talk about?
Let's see. Do you want to do like this question?
We could talk about foam core.
Sure. Yes.
We could talk about foam core. I think besides having a few
Yeah.
metal stands, having balloons, I think foam core is the prop that I use the most.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, granted, with foam core, it's like a 1 or 2 time use. So this harkens back to my nonprofit event planning days. As an intern, I spent my summers on the floor in a hallway cutting foam core shapes out, because that's how we were able to get really large visual impact on a stage for very little money. Because compared to wood, foam core is quite a bit cheaper. And for us, we just needed a specifically themed prop for that one event, and then we may only use it once or twice. But whereas like if you were a party planner yourself and you wanted reusable props, you would probably lean more towards making your props out of wood, so you could rent them and use them multiple times. But if you're just doing something that's one-off, or you might use it 2-3 times yourself, foam core is a great solution. It's inexpensive, it's easy to cut, you don't need power tools, it's pretty easy to paint, it's lightweight. The downside to that is it's easy to damage. So, when you're transporting that, especially, you have to be really careful loading and unloading from vehicles and getting through doors, because you can ding the foam core very easily. But it's so lightweight. It's so much easier to move around than wood. I see people lugging these arches out of wood, and I'm like, bless your heart. Those things are so heavy. If I can make a prop out of foam core, I definitely will.
Yeah. We got a couple more questions that came in. So Peter asked, do you use balloon shine?
I have used it a few times. It's not my favorite. It does wonders. If you want a shiny balloon, it makes a shiny balloon. It does make your balloons oily, like greasy feeling. Obviously, that's how it makes the balloon look shiny, but you don't want to apply it until everything with the balloons is done, because you don't want to be touching the balloons after you've applied the shine, because it's greasy. I don't do tons of things outside. So maybe if I did more outside, I might use it more often.
Yeah, I think that probably biases your answer because you typically are doing indoor events.
Which the latex is less likely and slower to oxidize indoors than if you're using it outdoors. It's a great product. There's lots of different brands. They all kind of react a little differently. I see. We just need to sit down and like buy a bunch of these and test them all out, because I don't really know. I've used them a few times to mixed results, and slippery floors.
Yes.
They're a great product, but I don't know tons about them. I just know that you don't want to handle your balloons after you've touched them or sprayed them.
I think this summer, depending upon if you have a week that you need a video filled in, maybe we'll do a guest host, and I'll do a little science time with William. We'll test out all the balloon shines.
Stick out all the balloons in our backyard.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to look really strange.
So weird.
Project Farm would be proud of us. Okay, M asks, do you have help, or do you do all of this by yourself?
This is the only help there is.
I don't know if I'd call myself help, but
no, it's all me. All the balloon stuff is me. When I do setups, everything on video, I do it all by myself. So that does influence what I do and how I do things, because I am doing it by myself. You'll see me standing on chairs and stuff, which you should not do, because I'm doing things by myself. So no, it's just me inflating balloons. And my little dog, Luna's usually around here. She's my little companion, who's usually nearby until I start inflating balloons. Yeah. And then she's not interested in being anywhere near me. But
poor Luna. You start pulling the boxes out, and she's like, nope, we're done.
She's not happy. Nope. No, it's just the two of us. This was something that I started as a side gig while I was still working as an event planner. And then slowly just became more, obviously when the pandemic hit, no one needed an event planner. So just leaned into the YouTube, and sharing these really fun projects. And it has turned into my full-time job. So it's been a lot of just days inflating balloons. It's just me here sitting at my computer. And I think that the really fun thing is my passion is making and teaching. But all of the other parts of what a Van Answer has all been a learning curve. Like, I knew nothing about videography going into this. I knew nothing about editing. Those early videos were all edited on Movie Maker.
Yeah,
is that the one
built into Mac.
On the Mac, whatever that one is. I started with that. I started with a little $15 lav mic that I hooked up to my DSLR that I bought as a graduation gift to myself after college. This was crazy, but had a passion for making and wanted to share that with the world, and all the rest of it has just been a learning curve. So it's been a slow journey, and hopefully, like the video we watched earlier, the quality has slowly gotten better over the years.
Em says that's encouraging, because I have no one to help me, and sometimes it's intimidating.
It is, yeah. Do as much prep as you can ahead of time. Organize your things as much as possible. I always have a bag that I carry as my event bag, and it's got all the things I always use. So I know exactly what's in that bag. Make things easy to carry. Don't pick heavy props. Or if you do have to have a heavy prop, make sure it breaks down into manageable pieces. I made that wood wall.
I was thinking about the wood wall.
A couple years ago, I made plans and showed you how to make a wood wall, which was gorgeous, and I love it. That sucker is so heavy. And it's just me, but it's in two pieces that weigh a ton. I should have used thinner wood on the front. That would have been helpful. But and I find myself not using that prop very often because I don't want to lug it myself, And so you just have to be thoughtful about things, make sure you're taking care of yourself as well. Event planning can be a lot of late nights and weekends, so just, be careful. Don't hurt yourself. You can do it. I believe in you.
Obi asks, can you recommend an easel stand location in Canada? Probably. That's actually a really interesting question, because we do get that sort of question a lot. International.
An easel stand.
Yeah.
I think I just bought one off Amazon.
Yeah.
Or I got it like $15 from Hobby Lobby. And it was just a wood one.
That tends to be my answer for international viewers. Is Amazon's pretty much the only thing we can recommend that there's a, because if we say Hobby Lobby, I don't know if Hobby Lobby is international or not. So,
Yeah, that's a toughie. That's why we link so much on Amazon, because even if you can't order the item, you can at least have the brand and have the SKU. So maybe you could find something locally. That's a toughie one for international. I say thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, and all of our Imperial units.
Yes, that's another apologies to our international friends with all the plans being for letter size paper and
the balloons and inches.
Yeah.
No, I don't know, easels. That's it. I think you just want to pick one that's in the style of the event that you're looking for, because they come in all different colors and mediums.
Let's see. Question from Kimberly. How do you store your balloons? Temperature plays a key role?
It does.
Let me see if I can find that photo and figure out how to show that.
So most of my event props live in our sunroom, which is like a 3-season room. It gets hot in the summer and it gets cold in the winter. So the balloons don't live there. They actually live in a spare bedroom. And I like to keep all of my balloons in shoebox size snap tubs. So I put all the different balloon sizes that I have in one color all together into one snap tub. It's not as aesthetic as some people, I'm always so jealous of people who have those like beautiful round containers that have their balloons like all on one wall. That's not the case for me. They live in snap tubs. I always pick clear ones so I can see into them. I labeled both ends of the balloons so that no matter which end you pick up, you can see the color.
Well, that means when you put it away, you don't have to think. You can just put it away and you can see a label.
And so I always use the color of the balloons as well as the brand, because I do keep usually three different brands of balloons on hand, and it turns out they like to share the same color names, and they can be different colors. Match, so not all of mine are labeled properly, but we're getting there. It's a work in progress. I actually just did an inventory of these balloons last weekend, I think. I've got some big projects coming up, and I wanted to know exactly what I had on hand and not think I had them and open the box and be surprised if I didn't have it. So went through and inventoried and did this lovely colored presentation or shelving of all my balloons kind of in a rainbow fashion. So snap tubs. The black and white balloons, I do keep in a larger snap tub just because I use them more often, so I keep more of those on hand. But otherwise, I am able to jam basically one of each size in each color into a snap tub, which works pretty well.
So to clarify, so you're saying that a snap tub will have one color by one manufacturer, and you'll have the 5-inch, the 11-inch, and the 18-inch, or whatever their equivalent of the 3 main size, 3 or 4 main sizes.
Yeah. Exactly. And that way then, because usually when I'm doing a design, I'm needing multiple sizes of the same color for like garlands and things. So then I can just pick up one box and move it to where I'm inflating stuff. So usually when I'm making a project, I'll pull, the 3 or 4 different snap tubs I need and just carry them over to my desk, my rolling cart.
Kimberly is very impressed with the large balloon collection.
Oh, yeah. It's a slow creep. It's like,
it's yarn.
If you're a yarn, if you're a crocheter, it's fabric if you're a quilter. It just,
Not calling out our moms with those two comments.
That's where it comes from.
Yeah.
No, because there's always a new color that's just gorgeous. And I'm like, I have to have that, you know. Tough Tex just released new colors. Cold Tex just released new colors. I had to have some of them. So, and it's kind of just built up from like what's left over from previous projects. So, it kind of just builds. And I buy my balloons from a wholesaler, and have to pay shipping on that, obviously. So I try to buy in large orders to make the shipping worth it. It's a great opportunity to not only buy what I need, but also buy a few extra to experiment with. So.
June, yeah, I believe so. I think we chose the chat replay option, so I think that will be available afterwards with the.
Oh, do you need a link?
With the video. That's an interesting question. Pajama. Can you recommend a particular cheap generator for when there isn't an outlet outside?
That's
a really interesting
that is a good question.
Yeah.
Depends on what you're trying to power.
Yeah.
Will make a huge difference. That's a question I'm not sure I know how to answer.
Sure.
If you're talking balloon inflators, you probably wouldn't need a lot, and you can get balloon inflators that are battery powered. For anything beyond that, I'm not sure I have a good answer for that.
So probably the popular options. So Jackery is a pretty well-known brand name for like portable battery packs. And when I say portable battery packs, I mean more like lunchbox sized or larger. So these are things you can run like
A
couple hours, like I would say like real equipment on. So you're not talking like a USB battery pack. You're talking like you could run a blender on this. You could run power tools.
Sure.
It would be a great choice for a balloon inflator. And because it's just a large battery pack, you don't have the noise from a generator.
Yeah.
That's probably the big
that was
downside
going to be my
with,
comment is
generators.
The noise.
Yeah.
Or if you do get a generator, make sure you can place it far enough away from your party or event to help mitigate that noise, because they are really loud.
Yeah.
Usually you can rent them locally, so I would check with any of your major local rentals stores, and you can usually rent those out. That would be where I would start, unless you're doing it a lot. Like maybe you have a bounce house business, maybe it might be worth owning a generator. But if you wanted to get your feet wet, you could always try renting first.
And once again, because you're using it at an event, I would tend to lean towards spending more and getting something that's a lot quieter. Like that would be, I would prioritize that, because your clients are going to not be happy if there's loud noise in the background of their event.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Oh, that's a good question. Obi asks, what balloon colors would you suggest to start building an inventory?
Oh.
I have an answer for that.
What is your answer?
My answer is whatever your local sport team colors are and your high school. Because that's, when you're starting out, that's some really easy business to go after. And that's definitely for you, colors you keep on hand, larger quantities of. Because
schools.
that is
it's a large part of our market. Yeah. I think it also depends on the type of parties and events you tend to cater to. If you're more for working with weddings, that's going to be a different market than if you're doing parties or like birthday parties or showers or things like that. Those are going to have different kind of color schemes usually. Also kind of depends on what's popular. Anything in the pinks and blushes right now, like the soft colors are really popular. But it comes back to, what do you like making? What's popular in your market? Everyone's saying Barbie's going to be the hit this summer. So I have been stocking up on my hot pink and I'm ready. If anyone has any good Barbie prop ideas, I am here for it. But it kind of just depends on what's popular. The schools is a good thought. We have a very large school in our area. University. And that's the bulk of a lot of balloon and event decorating business in our town.
Okay. Oh, we got all the questions coming in here. Okay, so trying to make sure I don't miss any. June was asking what's the name of the storage you use for the balloons. They're shoeboxes by Sterilite.
They're just the Walmart brand.
Oh, okay.
They're just the Walmart brand. Yeah, snap tubs.
Like $1 or $2 each.
I get the 10-pack.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
I need to get more. But yeah, they're just shoebox size. And the cheap ones.
Okay, Kimberly asked, does it matter the brand quality of air inflator?
Oh.
Helium is ridiculous. Any suggestions or ideas?
Helium is ridiculous. That's why everything you see me do is air. I'm sure there's some profit in it. I'm not interested in working with helium. I don't really want to work with the tank. I don't want to carry the tank around. It's kind of expensive. So everything I do is air. I think it depends on how many things you're making. The little pink balloon, the $20 balloon inflator that you see me use in all the videos, I've used that same inflator for 3 years, 4 years maybe. And it's great. It's a great little guy. If you're starting to do more, if you're doing large setups, you'll need to upgrade to something that can handle the capacity. Because what you don't want is to put hot air into your balloons, because eventually that air will cool off and it'll shrink your balloon, and that'll change up the size. And that's really important, especially if you're doing something where you're sizing those balloons. Yeah, where that size is important. It doesn't quite matter as much for organics, but structural things, that's really important. The pink one is great if you're doing, I did something like this, no problem. It's when you're starting to talk larger things, it gets hot, and you're putting that hot air into the balloons. So I actually just got a new one myself I think it's Conwin. Is it Conwin?
That's the manufacturer. I think they may use a different
Premier.
name for the Premier is the
Premier, I think, is the one that I got. And I just upgraded, so I'm trying it out right now to see how I like it. This was kind of the $200. Yeah. This was kind of like the first jump up, professional level tier of balloon inflator. I really wanted the $1,300 one, but I was like, I don't know if I can justify that.
Yeah.
It had a foot pedal though, which seems really nice. So we'll see. Maybe we'll get that soon. But you could go a long way without needing to upgrade. Yeah. It also depends on if you're working with other people too.
Sure.
I was talking to one of my patrons, and she's got one of the Air Force ones, the bucket, the 4 nozzles. So if you're working with someone else to quickly inflate lots of balloons, that could be an option. She really liked it. It's very high power, very loud. So it probably just depends on the quantity and what type of balloons. Obviously, if you're doing 260s, that can be a little different, because not every inflator can handle a 260 or a 5-inch balloon, or double stuffed balloons. If you're double stuffing, that can be hard on the little inflator, because it takes a little extra force to inflate a double stuff. And if you're doing a lot of that, you may need to step up into that more professional realm of inflators.
Yeah. Let's see.
A lot of the inflators that I use, though, I've had for a long time. I still use the same hand pump I have for a lot of years. Yep. The Qualitex hand pump is great. It's only been recently that I've been trying out bigger, more professional pumps, especially with 5-inch balloons. After a certain point, like, you don't want to be inflating hundreds of 5-inch balloons with a hand pump. So.
Okay, so we had some follow-up on some of the earlier questions. So the generator, it was for setting up before the party to make balloon garland backdrops on site, for doing a large balloon garland. So yeah, in that case, probably just rent something for the day, which is probably the most cost-effective way to do that.
Probably, especially if noise isn't an issue while you're setting up.
Let's see, then we had a follow-up on, I'm trying to match up the right people with the right
that little bit of delay
here. Let's see, inventory. Oh yeah, so the balloon inventory was birthday parties and showers was what they were interested in. Yeah, I think the pink and white and those sorts of colors are really popular.
I'm trying to think what's been. Yeah, the soft tones have been really popular. Although I think there's beginning to be a little bit of a change and people are going with bolder colors now.
Oh, interesting.
So it'll be very interesting to see what the summer holds. Yeah, I really love the mustard color. Like, that was super pretty. I wasn't sure when that one arrived because it looks really dark in the bag. But that's the one I put on the circle arch with the greenery in it. And it ended up being a really pretty yellow. And I'm not a yellow person. I don't tend to pick yellow on my own.
These are her colors.
These are the colors of everything. Yeah. Artwork. Yeah. Kind of my colors.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, we had a question from, let's see, I just got on, is The Little Mermaid popular this summer?
Oh, interesting. Maybe. I have started to see some Little Mermaid stuff, or just mermaid in general. I think is baseline popular. I think you'd probably, it's very easy to like make the fishtails and get like the seashells, so you can get the vibe pretty easily, I think. But yeah, I think mermaid is good. Rainbows are still good. I think there's some enduring themes. And the great thing about mermaid is it could be Little Mermaid or it could just be mermaid. I try to stay away from IP stuff personally. Not something I want to get caught up in. So that's why you don't ever see me making props, recreating IP. So everything I do, so that's why, like, we were talking about Barbie. Well, it'll look Barbie, but there won't be Barbie on it. Because I'm not interested.
It'll be like a pink color scheme.
Yeah, it'll look
inspired
Barbie,
by, but there won't be any like actual Mattel or whoever owns Barbie
Correct.
IP involved in it.
Yeah.
Occasionally we get Etsy questions that are asking about particular characters, and we just don't do that. It's just not worth
the getting into trouble.
Let's see, great tips. Okay, well, I think we were originally only going to be on for an hour, and we've blown right past that. This is awesome.
Yeah, thank you all for
guys
making
for the questions.
So many good questions. Thank you all for being here. We were like,
awesome.
if our moms show up and someone else, like, this is great.
Three people, and we
this whole journey has been such a surprise. Like, thank you all for being here today. This was so last minute. We were like, we're gonna hit it today. Like, today is the day. We should do something. So thank you all for being here on such short notice. We really appreciate all of the great questions. Thank you for supporting us over these last couple of years. Whether you've been with us a couple of years or you're a new subscriber, it means so much to us to be able to share, not only my love of creativity and teaching, but I love seeing the fun things that you guys make as a result of these videos and getting to see that you can take this and it empowers you to do something really cool too. So I think that's been the funnest part. And you all have made that possible. This is now what I do full time, and I tell people I'm a YouTuber. Like, this is really weird. This has been a wild ride. This was from a part-time job, just with an old DSLR and a $15 mic. We've come a long way over the last couple of years, and we really appreciate your support with that. And hopefully we can make many more beautiful things. I have so many fun big builds coming up that I'm super stoked about. I just have to find a location that's bigger than my living room that I can build these for you, because I'm so pumped about what's coming up this summer. There's some really great new products that I'm hoping to show you how to use. We're making new products. There's always new products coming out on our Etsy shop. If you haven't seen any of the plans or templates that we make, a lot of the videos that we make have either a set of written plans or a printout template that you can use to help you recreate whatever it is I'm making on screen. And we usually make about 2 of those a month. So you can always check those out on our Etsy store at etsy.com/shop/eventanswer is what we are. And for those of you who have joined us on today's stream, we've got a special discount going on. If you use 100K party, you can get 20% off the entire shop, anything you order. And that's the biggest sale we've ever done on any of the products we've offered. So if there's something you're interested, use that code, hop over there, and we'd love to see whatever it is you make with any of those plans or templates. I think one of my favorite things is going through the Etsy reviews that you leave photos on, and getting to see the stuff that you create, the party setups, is just what makes my day. And I really love that. So thank you all for sharing the photos of the things that you make. And if you'd like anything in the store, definitely use code 100K Party for 20% off anything in that shop.
And that's good through tonight at midnight. I should clarify when that ends.
Great.
So tonight at midnight is when that's valid through.
Awesome.
So, yep.
Good to know.
Yes.
Special thank you to our patrons.
Yes.
We really appreciate everyone who has joined our Patreon. If you're interested in seeing more of what we do, the main YouTube videos are always about the project and the learning, but we do so much more behind the scenes, extra learning over on Patreon. So if you'd like to dive a little deeper, if you have more questions you want to ask me, Patreon is the place to find me. That's where I am most active and most likely to answer questions, because my social media game sucks. So don't try to message me, because I probably won't answer. I'm sorry, Find me on Patreon. I love you guys. So you can find bonus content over on Patreon. And if you join at our Party Maker or Studio Supporter levels, you get access to all of our digital plans and templates. So if you're a Patreon, you get access to all of that stuff as well.
Yep.
Oh,
I think
is
that's
that?
Yeah.
This is so crazy.
So it is.
It's been a wild day.
So we're 26 subscribers away from 100,000. So
Later tonight,
we're
going to bust out the cheesecake, and we're going to continue to watch the count.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And watch that count till we get to 100K. Yeah. Thank you all for being here.
Yes,
we really appreciate it. And look forward to many more fun projects coming up. So thank you all.
Yep.
Definitely, if you have anything else, any other questions, leave them in the comments. I will try and get back to them once this video gets posted. So we'll go ahead and post this to the channel.
Yeah, so I believe it's recording. It should basically be replayable.
Okay.
So
so if you miss anything,
in the live stream tab of the channel.
Perfect.
So,
Perfect.
Yep.
See, technical person. Great. Well, if there's anything you want to rewatch, you can just go over there and pop into this again. So thank you all for being here. We're so close to 100K. Thank you for celebrating with us. And now it's time for us to go bust into that cheesecake. So everyone have a good evening.
Well,
love you guys.
You have to say the catchphrase.
Oh!
Come on, 1, 2, 3. Stay creative, everyone.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you.